Taylor Swift is busy, but she keeps us busy too. Something has happened within the relationship that has altered the fate. This kind of mystifies this song. The word "the" precedes how people identify the bolter. It's like the archer. They've done something that caused them to experience a lot of intense fear and maybe what they interpret as bad luck. What is the albatross metaphor? I will explain it to you right now. You're welcome. The Tortured Poets Department album by Taylor Swift has not even been released yet, so someone needs to explain to me how there is so much to analyze. How? This is my 5th video on the Tortured Poets Department. I am doing a series analyzing the Tortured Poets Department before it's released. So far, we've analyzed the album name, the Tortured Poets Department, the album imagery and the album artwork, the released lyrics, and we've done some really fun track predictions. But since recording, Taylor Swift has announced that there are going to be 4 bonus tracks. Naturally, this calls for yours truly to do an analysis video. There are a lot of interesting things to discuss. In my track analysis video, I did analyze the Manuscript as a bonus track. To be fair, that was the only bonus track we knew about at the time. Bonus track names are the Manuscript, the Bolter, the Albatross, and the Black Dog. Not me thinking that I could chill until April 19th. Before we get into each track specifically, I want to talk about the word "the" because, as I've been stating throughout this entire series, it's really important. The word "the" makes something feel more official, it makes it seem singular, and it puts your focus on that thing, right? It increases its importance and its significance. For example, the Manuscript. The word "the" makes it important. It's not just a random manuscript, it is the manuscript. It is the most important manuscript to our protagonist. The word "the" is present in all the bonus tracks, so it makes all of them seem very singular and very important within the protagonist's life. This makes me think that all of these songs are about a very specific dynamic, and they're drawn from like true events, but they're drawn from something that is important for one reason or another. The word "the," as we'll see, makes some of these song titles an identifier for the person it's about. For example, the Bolter. The word "the" makes the person that the song is about have an identity of someone who bolts. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's just dive in and talk about each track individually. Number 1, the Manuscript. I did talk about this track in depth already in my track analysis / predictions video, so make sure to check that out. But again, really briefly, a manuscript is like the first version of a written body of work. There's going to be multiple drafts after a manuscript is written. In that video, I talked about how we can interpret the manuscript as perhaps what the protagonist thought the love story would be like. It was an early draft, right? It was based on the evidence and the data she had at the time about the other person and their dynamic. But the manuscript can change. It's far removed from the final version of a story. That's how I'm thinking about the manuscript here. If this song is inspired by Taylor Swift's own personal life, then we can kind of make sense of it a little more. As we know, Taylor did end a 6-year-long relationship. Also keep in mind, with art, not everything is autobiographical. Things can be inspired by true events, then extrapolated out and fictionalized to fit within a narrative. I'm not saying that this is autobiographical. If we listen to the songs that are allegedly about that relationship, it was more hopeful. King of My Heart Dead MP3, Exhibit A. Now, the story has shifted. We haven't heard the songs on the Tortured Poets Department yet, but based on the imagery, based on the analysis I did of the track list, I would argue the narrative is changing around that relationship. The manuscript could have been a more hopeful sort of thing about how the protagonist was initially thinking her love story would pan out. This song title could also go another way. It could be a manuscript for this album specifically for the Tortured Poets Department. It could be more of an introspective piece, not even involving a love interest. There's a lot of different ways that this song could go. And as always, I would love for you to join the conversation below and let me know what you think. Bonus track number 2, the Bolter. That's me running. That's me bolting. I did look up the word bolter to see if there was a definition I wasn't aware of. And in my opinion, none of them really fit in with the context of this album, or what I perceive the context of this album to be. So how I'm defining bolter is someone who is running away. Got a bolt, you bolted out of there. When I think about the connotation of bolt or bolting, I feel like someone is trying to escape, running away without notice. They're trying to get away from a situation that they're not comfortable being in and that they have no interest in being in. If we think about that in the context of a relationship, that seems pretty sad, right? You don't want your love interest to be someone who bolts away. The word the is very important in this song title. I am interpreting the bolter as being about a person. The word the is identifying that person as someone who runs away. That is their identity. They don't have a name. It's just the bolter. The song title sounds very dramatic. I think this is intentional to mirror the emotions felt around the situation in which someone bolted away from the protagonist. Since I'm thinking about this person as having the identity of someone who bolts, I think that maybe this is a habit they have. Maybe it's a pattern of behavior that this person, perhaps a love interest, has when situations get to a certain point, they just kind of bolt out of there. We can also think about this song title as not being about a love interest, but about the protagonist. Maybe they run out of situations when things get to a certain point. Maybe certain things trigger them to leave without notice. It could be more of an introspective or reflective song as well. Another thing about the word the, I feel like this kind of mystifies this song, the bolter. It's like the archer, right? It mystifies it. It makes it bigger than it is. It's giving kind of like folklore vibes. Not necessarily the album folklore, but just like literal folklore. The archer, the healer, the matchmaker. The word the precedes how people identify. It precedes what they're known for. It also can precede their life's work, right? The matchmaker, the soldier, the bolter. Bonus track number 3, the Albatross. This song title is quite interesting. There are a few definitions of an albatross. You can think of an albatross as something that causes persistent deep concern or anxiety, so it's something negative. An albatross is also literally a seabird. I just randomly thought of 1989 and all the seabirds. I'm sure they were seagulls though, not albatross. What's the plural of albatross? An albatross is also defined as a family of large web-footed seabirds that have long slender wings and are excellent gliders. I read that definition not just as a fun fact, but because this is the definition that we need to be focusing on. In my opinion, this song title, The Albatross, is about the albatross metaphor. What is the albatross metaphor? I will explain it to you right now. You're welcome. This metaphor originated from an old poem. The poem was written by Samuel Taylor Coleridge in 1798, and the poem is called The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Let's read about this, shall we? In Samuel Taylor Coleridge's 1798 poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the mariner kills an albatross that has been following his ship, bringing down a curse that leads to the death of all other crew members. As a punishment, the crew hang the dead bird from the mariner's neck, and he remains alive to witness the ship's fate unfold. This potent emblem led to the coining of the metaphorical meaning for albatross as something that causes anxiety or guilt, or that burdens and encumbers. Let's look at an example of albatross in a sentence. Fame has become an albatross that prevents her from leading a normal and happy life. Fame has become an albatross around her neck. Interesting, right? Interesting. Fun fact, this poem birthed an idiom, albatross around your neck. So man, fixing up this car is an albatross around the neck. That means it's something that's causing a lot of pain and anxiety for you. This is a heavy metaphor. The sailor killed an albatross, and when I was reading about this, they killed it with a bow and arrow, and they were referred to as the archer in some of the explanations, which is quite interesting. It's quite intriguing. Taylor Swift has identified herself as the archer. So did she, the archer, with her metaphorical bow and arrow, kill a metaphorical albatross? And does she think that she has bad luck because of this? Is she guilt-ridden about something? That's something that we can keep in mind about this song title. In this poem, the albatross had to be worn around the neck of the sailor or the mariner that killed the albatross. So it's like a visual form of punishment. This brings forth a feeling of shame, public humiliation. I would assume that someone within a romantic relationship did something that would cause them to feel shame and humiliation. They've done something that caused them to experience a lot of intense anxiety and fear, and maybe what they interpret as bad luck as well. This bonus track song title and the next one we're gonna go over, The Black Dog, they have a lot of very heavy energy. Kind of alludes to fate, but just not the good kind of fate. It's like they did something to cause bad luck to get bestowed upon them. That is what I'm thinking about with this song title specifically. Again, it's the albatross. So it seems like the subject of this song title is not necessarily the person who like killed the albatross, but it's the albatross itself. It is the thing that is causing the anxiety, that's causing maybe like the bad luck or the change of fate or fortune within the relationship. And again, if it's about the same relationship that we think it's about, it had a lot of positive diction associated with it and positive metaphors about fate. A single thread of gold tied me to you, from that to an albatross. Again, I just want to say we don't know what relationship this is about. This song could be like a mosaic of different relationships, or it could all be fictionalized. We don't know. Everything is speculation, especially without the lyrics. Tell me your thoughts about this down below. I literally want to know them. Bonus track number 4, The Black Dog. The very first thing I thought of when I read the song title was Sirius Black in Harry Potter because, of course, if you don't know, in Harry Potter, Sirius Black, which is Harry Potter's godfather, he could turn into a black dog. And one time Harry was like in class and he like drank some tea so they could read their tea leaves and tell the future. And when he drank his tea, the tea leaves looked like a black dog and it was called the Grim, which meant that things were pretty much gonna get like really, really bad for Harry and it was like an omen of death. It was all very dramatic. Anyways, here is what I found in my research about the Black Dog, excluding everything about Harry Potter. And before I get into my findings, I want to tell you that the stories around the black dog and this metaphor, they don't know where it originated, but there's a lot of references to Great Britain. If you've been watching my series on the Tortured Poet department, especially my lyric analysis of the released lyrics and my song title analysis, oh my god, there's a lot of references to Great Britain. Like honestly, too many at this point. It's more than just the song So Long London. There are a lot of subtle and not so subtle references to England. Here is another one. It's subtle, but here's another one. On Wikipedia, I found an article called Black Dog, and in parentheses, it has the word folklore. So I love that for us. Everything is always tied together in Taylor Swift's universe. This is the folklore around a black dog. The black dog is a supernatural, spectral, or demonic hellhound originating from English folklore. English, meaning Great Britain, that has also been seen throughout Europe and the Americas. It is usually unnaturally large with glowing red or yellow eyes, is often connected with the devil as an English incarnation of the hellhound, and is sometimes an omen of death. Again, when we look at the origins, it does state that the origins of the black dog are difficult to discern. It is uncertain whether the creature originated in Celtic, I think it's Celtic, or Germanic elements of British culture. However, there's a section within this article about examples, and they're all just from different counties of England where the black dogs have been reported. I'm interpreting this as a British reference, which is not a positive one at all. Is this a reflection of the relationship that our protagonist had with a London boy? IDK, but you know, potentially. This is a very heavy reference. An omen of death. Maybe it is an omen of the death of the relationship. This is something that is perhaps from hell. That does not sound pleasant at all. The last 2 bonus tracks here, the Albatross and the Black Dog, they are very heavy to me, and they both have an element of folklore and fate. I've talked about this before. When there are elements of fate and folklore, it makes me value something more because it's referencing something from the past, referencing something known. So there must be a reason for it, right? It's not just a random occurrence and it's not a random thing. And again, the word "the" makes it specific. Something has happened within the path of this protagonist or within the relationship that has altered the fate of the relationship. And it's something that's very dark. Perhaps something that cannot be avoided, because to me, there are subtle references to a feeling of fate, right? Something happened that altered the course and there's no going back, no takebacks, right? Once that albatross was killed by that sailor, the bad luck was bestowed upon him. No going back. Once Harry Potter drank that tea and the tea leaves looked like a dog, there was no going back. I really want you guys to tell me what you think about these song titles, especially the last 2 I'm so intrigued by because they have such strong literal folklore vibes, like actual folklore. I really think that there is value in analyzing these song titles, so that's why I wanted to make this a video. Let me know what you guys want. I will be analyzing the album obviously. I think it's going to be like very poetic, which I'm really excited about. That's my favorite type of Taylor Swift writing. But do you guys want to see a reaction of me like hearing it for the first time or watching a music video for the first time? Let me know. If I do a reaction, it won't really have much analysis. It'll just be us like vibing. So it won't have as much depth as my usual videos do. But if that's something you're interested in, I would definitely want to know. Make sure to join the conversation down below and let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you as always, and I will see you next time. Bye.